Welcome to the Small Business Sessions podcast from Enterprise Nation's Business Connected training program and our partners Vodafone Business, Constant Contact, Dropbox and JP Morgan. In this week's episode, I'm joined by Josh Kleiner, who runs sandwich shop chain Sandwich with his dad Nick. The family business started with a small shop in Bristol in 2010, and the company now has 5 branches in the southwest city. In 2023, the business was named Uber Eats Restaurant of the Year and won £100,000. This allowed the father and son team to open a flagship London store, which is so popular that people queue for up to an hour to buy their lunch. The success of the business has also been helped by social media. Its famous giant sandwiches have gone viral many times, with TikTok influencer Kalani Ghost Hunter telling his 3 million followers that it was one of the best things he has ever eaten. In the show, Josh discusses how the business has grown from that first small shop, the reasons behind its popularity on social media, the realities of running a high street business, and his tips for business success. So Josh, thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. So I'm so excited to hear the sandwich story, which some Londoners watching this will know about. You're quite new to London, but being a Bristolian, I know you're a lot older than that because that's where it all began. So do you want to take us back to, it's 2010, isn't it? Where it all started?
I believe it was 2011.
2011.
So my dad first started Sandwich after being in the restaurant industry for multiple years. So he's owned his own restaurants, he's had a fish bar, he's had a Tex-Mex takeaway. So he's always been in the restaurant industry his whole life. And moving to Bristol from London, he opened up his first restaurant. It was called Juniper at the time. And I remember it so clearly. We used to do almost like fine dining, but more of like a British fine dining cuisine. And it was amazing, going so well. So he's been classically trained himself. And one of the reasons why I think Sandwich has done so well is because you're using that knowledge and putting it between 2 slices of bread, essentially. Nice. But how Sandwich was born it's a really funny story. There was a little unit next door to Juniper Restaurant, the restaurant he had in Bristol, and no one took it for years. 10, 12 years, it was vacant, empty. No one wanted to take a shot on it. It was almost cursed at the time. No one would look at it, no one would view it. It was empty. So the landlord of the building essentially approached us and said, opportunity here. Juniper's doing pretty well. Do you fancy taking it on and trying something new? So we did. Now, back then it was called Cottam Sandwich Company. It's not the sandwich that everyone knows and loves today. But it was brilliant. The restaurant industry at the moment is so difficult to work and make money in. Unless you're busy Monday to Sunday, it's so difficult. Most places are busy on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday lunch even, you can be busy if you're a restaurant. But unless you're busy Monday to Sunday, it's very difficult to make a living. And the hours are something that are so difficult. So you'll have chefs coming in at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, working till 2 a.m. in the morning after service. And it's just not a sustainable lifestyle, and it's so difficult. And when Cottam Sandwich Company first opened, my dad had 2 young kids, me being one of them. Yeah. And the hours were great, the people were great, the customers were amazing, the product was creative, and he just loved it, really loved it.
How many, is it 3 you've now got in Bristol, isn't it?
So we have 5 in Bristol, 1 in London.
Right.
Hoping to open lots more in London over the next 12 months.
We'll get on to that.
Absolutely.
So how have you, before we get to the big move to London, which shows a massive development in the business, but how did you go about expanding in Bristol from that one shop?
Yeah.
You know, and then obviously the second shop opens, and that's when you decided to switch to the new brand name. So you want to talk a bit about how you've expanded in the one city, first of all?
Absolutely. So the Bristol food scene is phenomenal, right? When it comes to supporting independence, I don't believe there's a city out there that is better. And the community we've built in Bristol is something to be so proud of, and we're so grateful for all of them. When Cottam Sandwich Company was doing really well, when I say well, the site was tiny. It was essentially a cupboard. You can only do so well from a cupboard space. My dad decided, along with his father, they wanted to try somewhere a little bit bigger in the city centre. Trouble is with having a business called Cottam Sandwich Company, it's not really scalable because there's only one Cottam in Bristol. So they decided to call it Sandwich after the famous Frank Sinatra song. So good they named it twice.
Oh, is that where it came from? I did wonder.
and that's where Sandwich was born. And just hit off straight away. But it was different. The size of our sandwiches would have been 25% what they are today. The ingenuity when it comes to building and crafting these sandwiches were not the same. And we take a lot of pride in sort of the invention of what a sandwich can be nowadays. And it's just something we didn't have before. We had no brand image. So yeah, it was different on many different levels.
Because you're known for these like mega huge, very full of ingredient sandwiches, aren't you? So was that came in, did it once you switched to the new Frank Sinatra brand?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, The Guardian recently approached us to try and be in an article about supersized sandwiches, and we actually refused to be included in that, because one thing a lot of people I think don't realise is our sandwiches are not large for the sake of it. We think about everything. So we want a sandwich to include multiple components. We think about texture, sweetness, acidity, crunch, everything you want in a sandwich to make it perfect. And with that comes lots of ingredients, lots of layers, and it increases the size. But that's a byproduct of what we're trying to do. We want to create the best sandwiches, and sometimes that increases size.
Yeah, you're right, because the bread, it's it's not like you're using some gigantic bread.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, you're right. It is the ingredients. Just obviously, running a business on the high street is quite tough. Maybe it was a little bit easier back then, but it's even tougher now. So as you were expanding in Bristol, obviously you were finding more units in different areas and, having to know that the customers were right. What would your advice be to a business that's, in the high street space that is looking to maybe expand in a city into multiple units and finding like the right premises?
Absolutely. I mean, it's very difficult to identify where you want your next site to be. Especially as a small business, you don't want to make mistakes. That's one thing. What I will say, though, is that we've never found it to be that important. I think when you have a product that people love and want, you'll become a destination place. You see some amazing bakeries off back streets and in alleyways. You've got Fat Pats in Manchester that are literally outside of a bin store, serving from a hatch. And they're one of the most popular and busiest places in the city of Manchester. They're not on a big site on the high street. When you have a product that speaks for itself, that people love, that is an experience to come to and enjoy, your premises isn't the most important thing. It depends about your growth strategy, 100%. If you want to be the next big thing, you're going to need high street stores. But as a small business starting out, the main thing you need to focus on is your product, and then getting your product to reach your consumers and customers, essentially.
So was the social, we'll get into more detail about the like social media and the virality of your business and the influences you've like got to share it. But did that start in Bristol? Did you notice that, when did you kind of first start to notice that you were kind of a thing on social?
The common misconception, I think, among all of our followers now and our customers, more so the new ones we have, is that sandwich has been going around for only 2 to 3 years. Okay, because that's essentially when our business had changed. After COVID, I remember being in lockdown and having 800 followers on Instagram. We had 3 locations in Bristol, no brand image, nothing at all. So going back from COVID, we were dead. We had nothing. Customers weren't returning to the offices. Our shops were in office-centric locations. So it was very difficult when we first came back. And we knew we needed to change with the times and start trying more on socials. Now, we have only posted 58 times since we had 800 followers in lockdown, and we're now on around 200,000 followers as the time of recording this episode with you. So it shows that not necessarily it's about consistent posting. It's more about what you're posting in your product. Yet again, you need to focus on your product. It needs to be something that people want to share. This started in Bristol. We started gaining traction as we developed more creations, got more creative with our layering and cross sections. We could see people coming into the shop, showing the photos to our staff. We want this one. We want that one. And it helps massively. It drives footfall, but it's not the be all and end all ultimately.
Yeah. That is really interesting, like only 58 posts, because it's the customers that have done it, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's like you are the ultimate user-generated content business.
Yeah.
Because it's the customers that have been posting the content for you,
100%.
isn't it? Yeah.
It's about building relationships as well. I think relationships are one of my biggest advice for small businesses. Without relationships and building those personal relationships with people, that, it's like I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. And in the restaurant industry itself, especially on social media, you can provide so much to a creator, and creators can provide so much to you. I've got some amazing friends in this space just from over the years working together on different projects and different collaborations. But it's about being exciting and enjoying what you do, enjoying creating a new sandwich, enjoying doing a 2,000 sandwich giveaway for Christmas in the city centre of Bristol, where the police get called out and it's carnage, but it's also amazing and the community love it. It's about doing things for and creating excitement back in lunchtimes again. I'm so fed up of people having their break in the office and just getting bored. Oh, I'm just going to go here because it's convenient. You should want to go somewhere where you are actually excited to have something to eat.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to now maybe move on to the Uber Eats win? So you won Uber Eats Restaurant of the Year and you got $100 grand prize for that, which is like amazing. So that was obviously a big moment in the business's history. Do you want to talk about that? Why you think you won and what you did with the cash?
Absolutely. I mean, the accolade is a wonderful testament to all of our hard work, first and foremost. Everyone knows that running a small business, the challenges you face on a day-to-day, I mean, a business without challenges is not a business worth having, in my opinion, because it's what constantly pushes you to improve yourself, and you overcome so many hurdles and you just learn from it. I always want to be a sponge. The people we've brought in to assist us on this journey, the amount I've learned from them in the last 3 months alone could beat the first 3 years I was at Sandwich. It's amazing what you can learn from people that have been through the experience. The Restaurant of the Year Awards was just, it's almost a bit of a blur to me. It was just the best day probably of our lives as a family, and we're just so grateful to be put in that position to win it. In terms of what it's done for the business, I always believed that we're on a trajectory regardless, but it's definitely catapulted us in the right direction to be able to open this first site in London, for it to be a massive success. And I think just Uber Eats support in general for small businesses is fantastic. They do a lot for small businesses, and without them, we wouldn't necessarily be at this point we are today as quickly as we have done.
Was that a thing, I guess, with COVID? Like you said, you were very much an office lunchtime kind of business. And in fact, I used to work on Baldwin Street next to your Baldwin Street one. So it's becoming a very Bristolian episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do check it out. But I guess Uber Eats helped you become not just relying on offices, doesn't it? Because that's like people can have them delivered to their homes. So was that quite a big part of it?
Being on the high street is very weather dependent, right? So we find that it just helps support businesses on really rainy days, or just what they do in terms of funding different deals and things on the app to drive people using it. I mean, they've supported us with Christmas campaigns and videos, but they do it for any size business. It's not just us. I'm talking about when we had no brand at all. They were helping us push our brand because they believed in us, and they do that for a lot of businesses. And one of my advice would be to a lot of these startups, new businesses, new hospitality business coming onto the scene is build relationships again. Build a relationship with your account manager, any delivery platform you're using, because the more you work with people, the more you'll be able to get from them in return.
Yeah, absolutely. So that 100 grand you won, did that? I guess that helped with your opening your London store. So that's obviously now your biggest shop, very high profile. So do you want to talk about how you went about finding that and how it's been?
Yeah, absolutely. So our first London store was obviously a big jump for us. We had to uproot where we live, and it was a massive risk. But risk in business is everything you'd expect, right? Without risk, you're not going to necessarily expand. And yeah, finding this first site was a massive challenge. We went through maybe 30, 40 sites, but we wanted our first one to be a flagship store. And before finding this beautiful corner location, we saw some units we were so close to going for, but they just weren't right. They didn't feel right. And as you're aware, rents in London are astronomically high, especially for a family business. Yeah. But when this unit was sent to us, we just fell in love with it. We fell in love with the space. We fell in love with the frontage. You always want to be quite prominent on a high street, especially if you're going there, especially if you're not well known in the city. You want your first store to almost be visible from all directions and on a busy street. We are a destination place. being in London, only open 10 weeks, we've had people come from Scotland, Liverpool, Manchester, Ireland. They've come from everywhere. So it doesn't necessarily matter too much, but we wanted something quite impressive from the outside. And we called to our customers to help us find locations. People knew this was coming for a while. They knew that this was in the pipeline. It was one of our dreams to open in the capital. I'm just so glad we finally managed to make it happen after all these years.
Big thanks to Vodafone Business for sponsoring this podcast. VHub from Vodafone Business has supported over 1 million SMEs, providing expert advice on a range of topics that matter to small business owners everywhere. Access VHub for a free one-to-one consultation with an expert advisor and get support tailored to your business. Book your free consultation with a VHub advisor today. Find more details at vodafone.co.uk/VHub. So that's interesting because obviously very well known in Bristol, but I guess was it like Londoners kind of already knew you then because of the social media?
Absolutely.
I know you had somebody like Kalani Ghost Hunter, who, for those that don't know, hunts ghosts and also posts about food.
Yeah, a bit of a strange one.
And he said it's one of the best things I've ever put in my mouth.
Yeah.
Just, I guess that things like that helped London, Londoners know that you existed.
This is what I mean. You've got London influencers getting the train for 2.5 hours to try your food. And to me personally, I wouldn't necessarily travel that long for anything. It could be the best steak in the world or the best chicken sandwich. Not sure I'd be traveling 2.5 hours for one. But yeah, it's just a testament again to the product. Create a product people will travel for. But Londoners knew about us. I mean, I think 38% of our followers now are from London, which is, considering we've only been here 10 weeks, is a great achievement. But Bristol is the soul of this business. Without Bristol, we wouldn't be where we are. But yeah, social media is fantastic for getting your name out there.
Amazing. So that first day when you were like, we're here, it's all done, it's ready to go, got the staff, doors opened. What was it like the first day?
Carnage. Carnage. I don't believe anyone could have made that operation in the first week run smoother. Impossible. But we did the best we could. We are so proud of how the first couple of weeks went. The amount of people that were coming to the shop was unseen in London. We've had the police having to man the door and do crowd control. It was carnage. That's the best way I can describe it to you. But the staff have been amazing, truly. 48 new team members had to be trained.
Wow. And
they are all just absolutely smashing it at the moment.
48 for the one store?
For the one store.
I mean, how many do you have in Bristol for all five?
We have across the company now 136 employees.
Right, wow, right. But 48 just for that one store, that shows the kind of
absolutely
amount.
It's busy. It's busy.
Yeah.
It's busy. But busy in a good way. You walk into the shop, you don't feel like you want to walk out. It's got energy and it's vibrant and it's inviting. That's something that's very difficult to achieve because you can have busy and chaotic and unwelcoming, or you can have busy, carnage, I want to go in there and see what's going on, I want to be a part of it. Yeah. And that's the difference I think we've managed to sort of really capture quite well.
Yeah, that's a good point actually, because the popularity leads to queues, and there's things, a lot of the headlines are like people are queuing up to an hour to get their sandwich at lunchtime, which is amazing for you as a business, but equally it could become a negative because it becomes, I'm queuing an hour for a sandwich. So how do you kind of manage that kind of element, and so it doesn't become actually a problem and you start to get bad reviews and all that kind of stuff?
You can only control two things in business. That's quality of product and quality of service. That's the only two things you can control. Everything outside of that is outside of your parameters of what you can contain. On rainy days, we have people walking up and down the line with umbrellas for people to hold. When the queue's long, we've got people outside handing nibbles out to the public. Now, if I'm waiting in line for an hour, doesn't matter how incredible the product you are going to receive is, a part of you is going to be disappointed. And I just think that's natural. I think people know they are queuing for what they are queuing for at the end of the day is a sandwich. It's a bloody incredible sandwich at great value, which is why they're still happy to queue, because they want to experience it. But our job as a business and to support and appreciate them as much as possible is to do our very best service-wise to make sure they're happy and comfortable. when it was hot during summer when we first launched, bottles of water were handed to every single person outside. And it's those little things in business that set you out from the rest. And I really believe that.
And didn't you, I see you've gone for like pre-prepared ones as well. Wasn't that kind of a reaction?
Absolutely.
So they're the same thing, but they're like pre-prepared and in the fridge.
Absolutely.
That was kind of a reaction?
100%.
Wasn't it?
We launched a grab and go sandwich. And this was for people in the area that were getting quite frustrated. I can't go here, I can't queue. So it's all about being on your toes and knowing what your customers want and being able to, and as a small business, we're able to do that for them. We're able to be creative and use our initiative to make things better operationally. So we launched our grab and go sandwiches, same quality, same size, same everything, in a box, made fresh 2 hours before, using the same ingredients people see in the deli. The only difference is you don't get that level of service because it's grab and go, and you don't get to customize your sandwich. So we use our recommended salads, etc., in each box. But it's been fantastic, and people are really receptive to it quite well. They love it. They think it's so much easier, and it's better than some other places that do prepackaged sandwiches. Let's put it that way.
Can't think of anyone you might mean. In fact, actually on that, what has been the kind of, because obviously you're competing with some, mega chains and prepackaged sandwich people that we all know. We won't mention them. You're very different, but, there's an established market there, and there's, some brands that have got a lot of shops, often multiple ones on the same street. So have you kind of heard what the kind of, the established players think about you? Have you, I know they're not going to tell you directly, but what have you kind of heard about the market and how they're reacting to you?
I think we try really hard. Sometimes, I think previously we've liked to joke about it, but we're now trying really hard to just focus on ourselves, for definitely.
Yeah.
I know that we have a gap to fill in the market, and I think Sandwich's potential is anything we can imagine, and we believe in this brand incredibly highly. But the likes of Pret, I'm going to say it, they have their market. They do, and they do a great job at it, if we're being honest. They provide convenience food and good coffee. We provide something completely unique and different. I can't name you another business that does what Sandwich does at the price point it does and at the convenience it does. And I think that you've got to give credit where it's due. But we're ready to take over lunch times for those that don't want convenience food.
I love that, taking over lunchtimes. On the cost element as well, because obviously that is a big thing.
Yeah.
Cost of living for consumers,
100%.
Cost for businesses, and food costs are like, crazy. So how are you kind of managing that? Because the amount of ingredients you're having to buy, and then thinking about, pricing it properly that people will buy it. How has that been, challenge wise?
It's difficult. No one can say that, what's happening around us isn't difficult. For everyone, for absolutely everyone, whether you're a small business, whether you're one of our customers, everyone is struggling, but there's degrees of struggling, right? I remember going into a shop the other day and having a falafel wrap, and it was £7.40. At that point, you have to think to yourself, why? Because I can assure you that is not £7.40. There are some businesses that I think are taking it too far. Some businesses like us that are actually providing too much value. But that's because our model is different. We want to serve 3,000 people a day and make less money on every person than be like another store that would only want 300 people a day, but then overcharge them for the product they're serving. If I'm being honest with you, our sandwiches are too cheap. When you realise what our product is, if that was £13-14, you wouldn't bat an eyelid. You will get change from a £10 note at Sandwich, and it's 2 meals in one. It's very difficult out there. The way we navigate it is obviously using local suppliers. So our suppliers in Bristol, for our Bristol shops, for example, we use a local meat supplier, local veg supplier from the fruit and veg market, and our bread comes from a family bakery as well. We try and do that for where our store locations are. In London, we use Rinkoff's Bakery, an amazing family bakery that's been around for, I think, since the 1970s. They're going to hate me if they see this, and it's earlier than that. It might be, but we just fell in love with them. They're family run, similar to us. So building relationship with your suppliers help, because they're going to try and do their best for you, and we're going to try and do our best for them. And order quantities help. The more you order, the more, economy of scale, essentially. The more bread we order, the cheaper the cost is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're selling a lot of bread. And I'm sure the bakery will be happy to get a shout out on the podcast. Hello to them.
Freshly baked every morning.
On that, you've mentioned family a lot. You're saying family business, your dad, your brother's involved, your girlfriend's involved.
Yeah.
So what is it like running a business with your family? Because, that brings its positives and potentially negatives. So what's it like running a family business?
It is probably the best thing that's ever happened to me. I was doing law at A-level. Not my thing. I'm a bright boy, but I'm intelligent towards what I enjoy. Me and my dad used to wake up at 1 a.m. together to go into work in Bristol, spend 14 hours together, and there would be challenges. It would be tough. We'd have different ideas. But one thing that I'd like to essentially sort of go back to is the fact that he's instilled this work ethic and drive into all of us. He is everything that epitomizes what Sandwich is. It's a hard-working business, very hard-working. It's one of the most difficult things we've had to do as a family, but I wouldn't change it for the world. There is nothing that would make me not have made the decision I've made today. And I've been in 9 years now. I'm just so excited for the next 5. It's a real pleasure.
Yeah. What advice, though, would you give to other entrepreneurs that are maybe thinking of starting something with their parents or relatives? Are there any kind of unique things to that relationship that you'd recommend, if you're going down that route?
I think the support my dad has shown me, he's never said no to any of the ideas I've ever had. There's not been one time he said, no, Josh, we can't do this. And that's not from a financial point of view. As I said, after COVID, we had nothing. We thought the business was going to close. But straight after COVID, he said yes to me saying we should give away 2,000 Christmas sandwiches. Going to cost us £5,000. We just couldn't afford to lose. But he's believed in myself and the team around us that we can pull this off and it's going to benefit the community and the business in the long run. My advice would be find something you're passionate about. If it's within your family, there is nothing more rewarding than building something together, and when you go home for dinner that evening, being able to talk about it, and just building something as a family is very special. I believe that.
Yeah. So what's the vision then? Is London, are you hoping for hundreds in London, or what's your future path, do you think? Without giving away all the secrets.
It's not even about secrets. Look, we're taking it one step in front of the other, right? We don't want to lose what is very important to us, and that's our ethos of great value, great quality, and great service. No one is silly. The more you expand, things slip, and we will never let that happen. We can't afford to. We love the business too much. It's our baby for anything to slip. Our plan is to open more locations in London, across the country, and internationally, but we are going to do this in stages. We're very ambitious. It's going to happen quickly. It's going to happen. We got another site opening before the end of this year, 5 to open next year, but it's with caution. It's with caution, doing appropriate risk assessments and making sure that the moves we're going to do are going to be without, damaging our current reputation, and making sure everything is how it should be.
You're so right, aren't you? Because as soon as you become that, and it's kind of about the customer perception as well. As soon as you're a small business now with 6 stores, and then once you become a few hundred, you're a chain now. There's this kind of the consumer
You're a chain a lot more before 200.
Yeah, exactly.
Even now, people's perception is this place is a chain because we've got it right.
Yeah,
we've got the brand image right. We are at the stage now where we want to grow.
Yeah,
but it's about the speed of growth and how you do it. We need a lot of control to be able to make sure that standards never slip. We won't let that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And just finally, you've given so much advice in this conversation, but if you had to give one tip for a small business owner watching this, food or not, what would it be?
Love what you do. There's not a day I don't wake up and think, I'm ready for this day to start. I get quite emotional thinking about it because it's genuinely such a pleasure to be able to work with my dad, my mum, my brother, my girlfriend on a daily basis to build the business to where it is today it's just joy, pure joy. So love what you do, be passionate about it, and be creative. creating is one of the most inspiring things for anyone. It's something you can say to yourself, I've done that. I've done that. And that's something that obviously makes you feel proud of what you're achieving.
Brilliant. I'm so hungry right now. But Josh, thank you so much. It's such a brilliant story, and thank you for joining us on the Small Business Sessions.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Thank you. You've been watching Enterprise Nation's Small Business Sessions podcast, powered by Business Connected and our partners Vodafone Business, Constant Contact, Dropbox, and JP Morgan. If you've been inspired during this episode, head to enterprisenation.com/business connected to register for webinars and to access free business training. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.